I guess how's Tom Duday looking? Is he in any doubt for the weekend?
No, Tom's one of those management pieces, so it's manage Tom during the week, as we have done with a number of other players. Today was one of those sessions, so he took a lighter session. We had a couple others we just took the contact out today, and that's another way to manage. So yeah, today's session was a good one actually. Boys crashed in, so we were glad those guys we wanted to manage were out.
Yeah, so Dawson, Rochelle were obviously kind of managed there as well. Are they fine for the weekend?
Yep, so you noticed the hats, yeah. We put them in silly looking hats when we managed them. Yeah, both fine, so they'll be available for selection and expect them to play.
It's based off an SMH then, does it look like Josh Worrell will be the one to replace Nick Murray?
If we wanted you to see that, yes. Yeah. No, we haven't locked it in. That's quite a big decision for us, that one. And as it sits, it's probably less than likely going to be Josh for a couple of reasons. Just the amount of footy or the lack of footy he's played, the importance we see with Josh for this footy club going forward. So the more medium, longer term view on where he's at. The last thing we want to do is rush Josh. He's played a game and a half at SANFL level where the speed isn't quite up to AFL level. So we'll have a close look at it, but we'll make the right call there, and probably the more conservative call for this week. So I've sort of given you a clue. I can't see Josh playing this week at the AFL level unless something dramatic happens between now and then, and Darren Burgess and I have a chat in the hallway before match committee.
So is Keane that other option that you guys are playing around with?
Keeney's playing some great footy, yeah. Didn't play last week. So Keeney's still working on parts of his game, but he's a standout player as far as a key for a key. We also have a look at the opposition, and we're not sure exactly what's going to happen there yet. Ross is very good at keeping that one under wraps. So obviously, if King's a chance to come and play, then we would need to look at going taller. We'll have a number of options ready.
Well, who's the other player that's in contention then?
Well, there's a lot. That's the most pleasing part with the squad at the moment. Paddy Parnell's, in good nick, went out, if you remember, through concussion, hasn't had the chance to come back in. Nankervis has now been playing behind the ball for a period of time and showing great development in that space. And Nank plays sort of that medium and taller as well, can play small. So there's a number of guys. Will Hamill played probably his best game for the year last week. A number of guys knocking on the door. McPherson's another one who, again, played his best game of footy on the weekend. So, yeah, really pleasing to have that sort of availability for guys to come in. We'll just make that decision for what we feel is best for this week.
How late will you leave it? When will you make the call?
We'll have a couple of plans ready. We'll make a call in about an hour's time on our squad, and then we'll look at it again come captain's run on Saturday, where we'll finalise it.
So will that be predicated on whether the Saints name King or?
No, we'll go in with pretty much our side, but I mean, if they do go a lot taller, we're going to have a look at that. We've got a fair bit of flexibility. We've got guys who can play multiple roles, so we'll keep that up our sleeve.
One of them, Jordan Dawson, do you look at, is there a possibility he goes back to defence as good as he has been in the midfield the last month or so?
Yeah, well, I guess that's one of the weapons he has, is that multiple position. We'd love to keep Geordie around the ball. We felt like we played some of our best football with him around the footy. But we depending on our opposition, depending on where the rest of our group's at, we'll make that decision.
I think Ross has said Max is not going to play.
Less than likely, yeah.
Yeah, do you believe
I know Ross well enough. Ross coached me back in the day, so he's a very crafty coach, obviously an outstanding coach, and he's showing that with their results at the moment. So we'll just have a number of things ready, and depending on opposition, but we'll also play what we feel is our best side. We feel like we're playing some good, some really strong footy still. We played two very good sides that don't allow you to do certain things, with the game. We've been challenged with that. We've still got to improve, to match it with those consistently. But we're playing good footy, so we will still pick our best side that we feel can go out there and get the job done.
Is Matt Crouch in that side?
Well, Matt played well last week. Yeah, Matt's put his hand up and said, well, I can play the level again, and he came in earlier than anticipated, with Muzza going out, and we thought he performed reasonably well. So his name's there, and we'll just have a look at that depending on whether we make a change to our midfield. We don't need to this week from an injury point of view, but we were really pleased with the way Matt performed.
So having said all that, how big a loss is Murray? I mean, Not just for him personally, but for the, I guess, the synergy in defence.
Yeah, for that cohesion that we've been building, and you know, Muzz has been a really big part of that. He continues to grow as a footballer, and there's so much more growth still to come. So it's an unfortunate one. You know, he ran back into a pack and landed on the ground. So it's one of those ones that you sort of, well, we'd love him to not be so courageous at times, but we don't want to take that out of his game. But yeah, it's a big out for us. He's been, you know, I'd say he's been our rock back there to this point, but we have other guys ready to step up.
How big has that cohesion been in this? Your defence has been really strong over the last 4 weeks or so. Yeah, is it down to cohesion, or are there any other factors that have been kind of behind that?
Oh look, it's our full team. I mean, we've worked a lot on limiting score against. You know, you look at the first 2 rounds of the year, and we came in and we're having 108 points on average kicked against us in those first 2 weeks, and well, you're not going to get far having that sort of result against. So we did a lot of work as a team on how we defend. I think probably the last couple of weeks, you would say our defenders especially have stood up in one-on-one contests. I thought last week both Murray and Butts were very good in their contests, and then Hinge was able to take that role on Cameron. Now, we didn't quite get it done to the level we needed to, but we are defending well. But it's not just our back six, it's how the ball comes in, the pressure that's on the ball as well. And you know, it's all 18 that are on the field that make your defence strong.
Because I guess you know, everyone said, you know, Adelaide's forward line is so potent, it's so impressive, but there's been a big focus. It seems like there's been an even bigger focus on the defence for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, looking at trends of the game and what gets you into finals footy, you know, 108 points against won't get it done. Doesn't matter how good your forward line is. It's pretty hard to kick 120 or 109 points every week, especially when you play teams like St Kilda and Geelong and Collingwood, which is that's the stretch we're in at the moment. There's not many teams that have kicked anywhere near 100 against the Saints this year, so we know we've got our work cut out for us, and we're going to have to defend well to beat them.
Why do you think that is, Matt? What do you think they do that limits so much score?
They're disciplined and they focus, they work hard in the contest, but they focus, their mindset's in the right space. They're very much about limiting the opposition and then punishing off turnover. And they're very, very good at it. I mean, they've got an experienced coach, highly respected, and he's been able to drive that in, you know, reasonably quickly into their side. So it's a credit to them, the footy they're playing at the moment. We obviously watch a lot of detail in this last week before we get the Saints, but we've seen them right throughout the year. They're playing some really strong footy. It's going to be a big one for us.
What did Ross teach you when you were under his tutelage at Sydney?
I'm going to be careful how much I say about Ross. Ross taught me that to be a good player, because Ross was my coach, to be a good player you've got to be consistent, you've got to train hard. I was a very average player. And Ross would know that now. He'd probably be smiling if he was listening to this.
Is it time now to take a big scalp? You obviously pushed the Magpies, you pushed Geelong. Is it time now to, with the Saints, top 8 side, a really good side?
Well, that's the aim. You know, the aim is to win games of footy. We've had our chances and we've fallen short the last couple of weeks. So, you know, we spend that immediate moment, as I'm sure all of our supporters do, just, you know, disappointed and angry after those losses. But ultimately, we go through those games, you know, with a fine-tooth comb and look at how can we improve, what areas do we still need to be better at. We look a lot at the positives, and at the moment there's 80% positive that we're doing really well. We've just got to get that 20% right, and that'll get us the result that you're talking about, or the scalp, if you want to call it that.
If you could replay a game, is the Carlton game the one? If there was a method you'd roll out every weekend, is that the one?
Yeah, if you give us the first quarter again. I think that a lot of things fell into place in that game. We played exactly the footy we wanted to play coming in. You know, we won centre bounce early. We were able to get the ball into our forwards in an isolated situation and give them the best opportunity to score, and we did that. And not only did we give them a chance, we put the ball through the goals. You know, everything was clicking, and then from there we were able to string 4 quarters of strong footy against a very good oppo. So, yeah, we've got a plan coming into St Kilda, but it's all good to get punched in the face. You know, and then we've got to be ready for that, and we'll definitely get a punch in the face this weekend because they're a good side.
I mean, it's like my question off the back of that is sort of centre bounce is where it all sort of started that night. It's been a bit of an issue for you recently as well. Have you gone away from what made you successful that night, or have other teams pressured you into going away from what made you successful?
And maybe that's where I went earlier. There's the quality opposition, the way they're coming up against you, and I would say our centre bounce hasn't been that bad. We've competed in there and done really well. In fact, the reviews we've gone through got a lot of things right. We played against one of the most potent teams in the competition last week. I think they came out of centre bounce, shoulders out, maybe twice on the day. And so by no means is that the area at the moment that we've got to get right. We're matching sides in around stoppage. We're confident we can do that. It's important this weekend that we're able to get the game on our terms. That's going to be where the game's won and lost, because if we don't, they're too good at what they're doing at the moment.
Last couple of guys.
So do you feel like Adelaide Oval is a ground that's through St Kilda? We kind of saw that when they played Collingwood here at Gather Round, they were really able to, I guess, suffocate them, that kind of goal constricted kind of thing.
I know it suits us. I mean, we play there a bit, so we're reasonably confident when we play on our home deck. But yeah, St Kilda play. I mean, they're playing good footy everywhere. It's not about the oval. They play indoors, outdoors. That's our challenge this one. But we'd like to think we get a really big crowd in for Mother's Day. We've got incredible support. We know we're going to have majority of the stadium. I'm not sure what the Saints will bring over for them. I don't want to fire them up, but come over. See if you can out-scream our fans. Our fans are pretty passionate, so we know we'll have the crowd behind us. We just got to get the game on our terms then.
Just one quickly, Paddy Pioneer, what does he, if you do name him, what does he bring into this side?
Well, it depends. If we bring Paddy in, then we're going to back in that we can get the ball to ground, because they've got a really good balance ahead of the ball. They do fight, they get the ball on the deck, and they've got super smalls, that bring intensity, they bring the contest. Paddy's very good in that space. He's closer to the ground. I mean that respectfully, Paddy, but he's very good when that ball hits the deck. So if we decide we're going to go a little smaller behind the ball, that'll be why.